With the Black Lives Matter movement, I've been educating myself about inequalities that exist in the different industries I support, and believe it or not, video games pose a real problem when it comes to diversity. I know. Shocker. I've often favored indie games because of the different voices that can be expressed through them rather than in AAA titles that are more fueled by the bottom line. However, part of my responsibility as a consumer is doing the research to find these diverse games. So in this episode of Indie 5, I'm featuring 5 indie titles that I've found while researching diversity in the game industry. I want you to envision the most wholesome thing in existence. Was it Tiny Bird Garden? Because it should have been. The first half hour of me playing this game was nothing but gushing about how stinking cute this game is. I mean, come on, look at it. In this game, you help manage a bird garden by stocking the feeders, caring for birds, and purchasing toys, treats, and hats. In addition to the garden, you can care for young hatchlings in the nursery and play mini-games. There's also a story that you unlock as you play, which is simple yet also adds to the wholesomeness. However, the real wholesome feels comes from the conversations you have with the birds themselves. Yes, that's right, the tiny birds talk to you, and they give you messages of support, encouragement, and understanding. Now I'll be frank, this game is about the grind. It's designed to be a game you play a little here or there to gradually meet all of the birds and get them to max friendship. Super Retro Duck had originally released a cell phone version that doesn't have all the features of the PC version, but it is convenient if you are into the collection aspect of this game. Overall, Tiny Bird Garden is a relaxing game about encouragement that I've been using as a nice palate cleanse when I'm just needing something to bring a smile to my face. Chrono Ghost is another one of those super hard platformers which I continue to use to test the limits of my controller as I wrench them repeatedly. However, I'm going to give Chrono Ghost points right out the gate for having 3 game modes allowing you to choose just how punishing you want the game to be. The game features time mechanics allowing you to slow down, speed up, and temporarily freeze certain objects and platforms. While I enjoyed the game overall, it certainly isn't without its flaws. Sometimes the hitboxes on the platforms and your character are hard to detect, so you end up dying a lot. Also, these conveyor belts were wildly inconsistent for me, sometimes not moving me at all and sometimes moving me at ludicrous speed. Also, I had a glitch where the time's up screen occasionally got stuck and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. But that may have just been the game's way of telling me it was time to quit before my controller ended up through a window. In spite of these bugs in a game that's designed to be frustrating, I still find myself coming back to this game pretty regularly. It's definitely a game I can feel myself improving at and would be an awesome one to learn how to speedrun. Nighttime Studios created a game that has a lot of things going for it, like the music and the art and the music and the level design, and did I mention the music? If you are into really tough platformers, I think this is one to give a go. Each level feels unique and it has a really nice, easy to learn, hard to master vibe going for it. Just be prepared to die. A lot. Media's Dead, You Are Alive is an experimental game by Mr. Tedders. This game is not for everyone. It was created as part of the Ambient Mixtape 16, which held the theme After Hours. The mechanics are simple enough with a pretty easy puzzle exploration-based progression. The environments are minimal and feature strong colors and flashing lights and create a rather disorienting experience. The game features a lot of ambiguous commentary pulled into the game in the form of video clips and quotes. I wouldn't say it has a story so much as it has an intent. The intent is to leave a space for the player to interpret what the game means for themselves. One of the quotes featured in the game is from Ian Bogost, and it begins, "The ultimate lesson games give is not about gratification and reward, nor about media and technology, nor about art and design. It is a lesson about modesty, attention, and care." This game is a modest one, and I honestly still don't know how I feel about it. The game itself is so random that it was hard for me to identify why I like it, but I think I do. I think. Certainly the most ambitious game in this episode of Indy 5, Oreon Legacy of Kori-Odan is a game that you can easily sink 20 hours into. In this action RPG by Kiro Games, you play as Enzo, the recently crowned king of Zama right before his village was overthrown. From there, you and your wife Erin traverse the world, learning about the political standings of all of the surrounding cities in order to develop alliances and learn to rule. The art is hand-drawn, and while I'm not the biggest fan of some of the style choices, the look of the game did grow on me overall. However, where the game truly shines is in its combat. The real-time, almost fighting game style combat is surprisingly deep, with combos, magical states, and the ability to bring in your companion to heal you or launch an attack. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of RPGs, but I've really been enjoying my time with this one because of the combat mechanics. Overall, it's not the most polished thing, the translation is probably the most jarring issue, but there are several things that shine out every so often that remind you that this is definitely an indie game. However, considering the scope of what was accomplished here, I'm still really impressed with just how well this game plays, and would definitely recommend checking it out. Before I forget, it's a story-driven walking simulator in which you play as Sunita, a woman wandering through her home trying to figure out where Dylan is. The story is definitely on the heartbreaking side, and though I think my personal taste would have been for the game to be left a little bit more ambiguous, overall what has been done here story-wise is really rather affecting. This is a short game, running only about an hour, but it's one of those that you can feel the passion that Threefold Games put into it. The little details that are included are meticulous, and every little thing adds something to the story being told. The art design is a highlight for me, and I love the use of color in the game. However, there were a few specific scenes that really sold me on the game, and one in particular that made me want to curl up and weep. This game fits into a niche that I'm particularly fond of, that of the short-form narrative. However, it doesn't do anything new or particularly unique with this genre, so I'd only recommend it if you know yourself to be a fan of these types of games. Hey everyone, just wanted to thank you all for watching this video. Like I said before, part of our responsibility in supporting diversity is actively seeking out diverse creators who have a harder time making it in the industry. In addition to the links to these games featured in this video, I'm also going to link some videos I found when researching for this episode. I highly recommend you check them out, and as always, if you have any recommendations for me, I'd love to hear them, especially if there are diverse voices represented in them. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll have another batch of indie games to talk about in the next video. Peace.